Guys, life keeps moving. Um, an hour or two ago, I had a sort of existential awakening almost, and this happens every once in a while, where I'll kind of just realize like how finite everything really is. But it just really hit me. It really hit me tonight. Not like in a. It was sad at first, but like it didn't end in a sad way. At least my thoughts. I first was reflecting on people around me, my loved ones especially, and our times together, and how easy it is to get caught up in life and your goals and your passions or your hobbies, or so many things can come up, and we get distracted and we start to take things for granted, especially time that we spend with our loved ones. And a big reason that we take it for granted is that we might have it very often. We might be able to see these people very often or very easily. So inevitably, we start to take it for granted sometimes. But as you get older, as you start to feel the realities of life, you take it for granted less and less. And this is why older people, especially, can become emotional over the smallest things. Because they realized over time that it's those small things that are worth cherishing. It's the small things that are worth cherishing. And it's so easy to become used to spending time with these people in your life, your family, your friends, if you're in a relationship, you know, whoever you're with, your team, basically. And over time, you start to forget how valuable that is. But a truly well adjusted person in this world understands that the inevitable reality is that you're going to have to let go at some point. To most things that you love, things are going to change. You're going to have to let go. And knowing that in your mind can make you become grateful for these moments. What's up? What's up? Erwen Tang? Erwen Tang? What's up, Redder? What state are you in? I'm in the Sun Belt right now. I'm in the South. I'll give you that. What's up, Tiny Building? What up, man? What up, Rico? Sorry, bro. I don't know English. No worries. No worries. Let me know what language you speak. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. We got Redder out of New Jersey right here. How's the summer treating you, dude? It's been amazing. It's been a lot of work, and that's what led me up to this point and this video. But it's been amazing. But my point was, oh, and how has your summer been? Let me ask you as well. My point was, we we get so used to these times with our loved ones that we start to forget how valuable it is. And every once in a while, it'll hit us. It'll hit us because you start to realize, like the title of this video says, you can't turn back the hands of time. Can't turn back the hands of time, right? Everything is changing constantly. It's been rough. I was let go from my job a few days ago. Dang, dude. Sorry to hear that. But you know what? Could be a blessing in disguise, my friend. Because this could be the moment where you get to that next level. This could be the moment where you go for what you've been wanting to go for in your life. And this could be the opportunity. You worked for Aldi's. I heard it was a decent company to work for, but you know what? Aldi's is in the past, my friend. Time for what's next. What's up, Electric Pigtails? Stay true. Hope you the best. Thank you. Thank you. You too. Appreciate it. You can't turn back the hands of time, guys. And it goes back to what Ferris Bueller said. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and take a look around every once in a while, you could miss it. And every once in a while, I'll take a look around and I'll realize this does not stop moving, right? This does not stop changing. So every moment that you have with your loved ones, with your parents, with your friends, cherish it. And a way I like to live my life. This sounds kind of weird. It might sound a little dark to you guys, but it causes you to live in a way that changes your perspective. Okay? Imagine whoever you're with, your loved ones, your family, just imagine, okay? It sounds kind of dark, but imagine that they will no longer be here tomorrow. Okay? Imagine that. Now, how would you go throughout your day treating that person if you knew for a fact they were not going to be here tomorrow? You move a little differently. You move a little differently. You start to give them a certain kind of love that is like unconditional, and you treat the moment and you cherish it to the max, and you give them the best of yourself. And I try to remind myself this every once in a while. Sometimes I forget it, but I try to go into situations like that with people that truly are there for me, my team, you know? Not everyone. Okay? Strangers, whatever. They don't I'm talking about the people that you know are there for you, ride or die. Just think in that perspective, right? And I had a conversation with this older gentleman. Sorry I had to. No, no worries, man. Let it out, man. Let it out. None of this matters at the end of the day, my friend. Like I said, this is all gonna change. This is all gonna end. None of this matters. Let it out, dude. What's up, Spike Master? What's up, West Plays? I was having a conversation with this older gentleman. He must have been in his 60s, I believe. Maybe a little older. But he told me that his son lives like in another state, and he comes to see him once a year. And he doesn't necessarily object to this because he wants his son to live a successful life and live a happy life, and he wants him to do what he wants to do because he's a grown adult at this point. But his son comes to see him once every year. And he told me, let's just say I live to 80, right? I don't know if he was 70 or something. He said, let's just say I live to 80 years old. I got 10 more years left. That means my son is only going to see me 10 more times. I'm only going to see my son 10 more times at this rate. And as a man, he could deal with that, but he had his wife, which was his son's mother, which he pushed him to go see her because he knows how much it means to her as well. But it just put it into perspective, right? It put it into perspective, like how finite this time is and how we need to not take these things for granted and just cherish these moments, dude. Like Redder said, sometimes you're going through. Thank you, West Plays. I appreciate it, dude. Sometimes you're going through these rough patches where like life is so distracting, and I'm going through a patch like that right now where it's just like work, working out, back to work, school, whatever obligations you have, and they're just like constantly flooding your brain all the time because you're just trying to get out. You're trying to make it to a point where like you can breathe. But even in these moments, we need to remind ourselves like how grateful we are for these moments. Because no matter what pain you're dealing with right now, no matter how low your income level is, no matter how, how many problems you're going through, how lonely you are, in 10 years from now, you're going to wish you could come back to this moment. Right? If you're 25 years old right now, when you're 35, you're going to wish you were 25 again. It's all about perspective, guys. It's all about perspective. I'm a spam hearts. Thank you, bro. Thank you for showing the love, dude. I appreciate you guys. I definitely appreciate you guys for coming in here and for liking the video, whoever liked the video. Thank you. But yeah, man. I'll say it one more time. Like Ferris Bueller said, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around every once in a while, you could miss it. No worries, Wes. Thank you, bro. Gotta go bye. Alright, you have a good night, bro. Thank you, man. And this hit me tonight. This hit me pretty hard. Like, pretty hard. And the title of this video is inspired by a song that I was listening to. It just came to my mind as soon as it started to hit. It's called Hands of Time by Groove Armada, I believe the name is. And yeah, dude, that song just calms me down in like the most nostalgic, like reflective way. And there was a time where I was driving for Uber, and if you know the song, you might know that it came from a movie called Collateral. And in the movie, he was a taxi driver, and it was playing the song during that movie. And I would play the song during my rides sometimes with my passengers, and it was just like, dude, some of those moments I won't forget. I'm there working, right? But at the end of the day, I'm just driving this random stranger home who totally is like, a stranger. We're meeting each other, and they almost become a friend within like those 10 or 20 minutes. It's the strangest feeling. Someone I probably will never see again, you know? But within those 10 or 20 minutes, we're just sitting there listening to this song, talking to each other, or sometimes, they just feel comfortable enough to just sit there and just vibe. But I would play that song because it was just like many times I'd be taking people home from the bar at night. They're just like totally relaxed, wanting to go to bed. And it was just like, it's just like a cruising song. Hands of Time by Groove Armada. And there were so many of those times, even though I'm working, even though, you know, I'm out late at night trying to make money, in that moment, it was just like, dude, this is life. This is amazing. You know? Like, it just was like a brief moment of just like escaping. Like, I don't know how we got here. I don't know how this person ended up at this part of the world in my car, but like, I don't even know this person. But like, this is nice, man. Let's just vibe out. Let's just have a good time, listen to this music, and let's get you home safe. And let's make this an experience. And there's been times, even in like some of my lowest moments, when I was working as a cash register at a liquor store, as a cashier at a liquor store. I'm working 2 or 3 hours extra on my shift because the CEO's coming in, and I gotta make the store look pretty for him for whatever reason because my managers were freaking out. and I'm doing all this extra work and I hate the job. It's soul sucking, right? But when we finally finished cleaning up the store and fronting all the product to where it looked perfect, and we were doing a walkthrough, and this was during Christmas time. I think it's called there's some Christmas song from John Lennon, I think. Like This Is Christmas or something like that. It's John Lennon, I believe. He has a Christmas song. That was playing on the speakers. And at a liquor store it's like, excuse me. It's like thousands of bottles, right? Lined up. I'm talking we even dusted them, like shined them up. And we're walking through the aisle just slowly and this Christmas song is playing and I just see these bottles just sparkling, right? And it's just me and my assistant manager. And I told him, I said, "This is excellence, dude." I said, "No one else is gonna see this moment. No one else is gonna know the work that we put in tonight. They're gonna come in tomorrow, take this for granted. The customers are gonna come in. It's gonna all look back to normal tomorrow. But we know. We know what went down here tonight, and we know that these bottles are just sparkling a little different." We know the excellence that was put into effect in this store tonight. And we're walking through the store just like, we did that, dude. We did that. This is beautiful. And for a brief minute there, I didn't even want to leave because the feeling of like going through such a hard shift that I didn't want to do, but I just kept grinding through and like just putting my head down and getting the work done. And then I finally pick my head up and I'm like, we did this. Moments like that, cherish them, dude. Because like the title of this video says, you can't turn back the hands of time. Take a look around you guys. Whoever's listening right now, if anyone is listening. First of all, thank you for coming in here and thank you for the likes. But take a look around you guys. You'll never get this moment again. You'll never be this age again. Every day you're getting older. Take a look around you. Look at the people that are around you, your loved ones. Give them a little extra love today or tomorrow, since it's late at night. Give them the love like you understand that eventually this is all going to go. Now, I personally believe that as a group, like my loved ones and I will always be together in the ether. But as far as this physical existence goes, it's finite, man. And it's finite. It doesn't need to be a negative thing either. It can be such a positive impact because it can make you so much more thankful for every little thing in your life. Right? It changes your perspective. That job you hate, you have a job. A lot of people don't have a job. Right? The tough times you're going through, it's life, man. Look, find the gems within that and cherish them. What's up, X2 Wheel Throttle? Song is Happy Christmas. Yep, that's the one. War is over. Yeah, dude. Now imagine me, I'm walking through the liquor store, right? Closed down, doors are closed, no customers. I'm talking like these bottles, we lined them up, fronted them like If you worked in a store, fronting means pulling the product up to the front of the shelf to where it's all lined up, right? So if you look down the shelf, it's just like perfect wall of product. And I just didn't want to leave, dude. And it didn't need to be documented, although I'm documenting it now, I guess. It didn't need to be talked about. It was just like with me and my assistant manager, it was a moment that was like, we're here, dude. This is life. This is life. We know what went down tonight. It was a beautiful moment, man. It was a beautiful moment. So take a look around you guys. When these moments happen, just take a second to take it in. You know? Take a second to take it in. Because life is good, dude. And like I said, we don't need to be sad about it. We can use it as a positive thing to get us to cherish these moments that we'll never get again. Right? Imagine me seeing Lennon. I'm old. LOL. You saw Lennon in real life. Really? If you don't mind me asking, how old are you? Because that's pretty cool. And you want to talk about cherishing moments. That's a moment, man. And tell me this. If you did see him in person, in the moment, did you realize, like, this is an iconic moment I'm going to remember forever? Or was it just, like, kind of a regular day? Not regular day as in, like, it's regular to see John Lennon, but regular as in, you know, okay, this is another concert I'm just going to, or wherever you saw him. You saw him in real life. That's pretty cool, man. And it's strange that we're even talking about him, because to have someone in here that's seen him in real life, because he hasn't been with us for a good bit. So I will take it that you are relatively older. And you know what I realized when I became an adult is that adults don't exist, dude. This idea of like an adult that I had as a kid where they were like separate from me. It was like one day you're gonna just be an adult. You're 84 years old, dude. That's awesome, dude. That is awesome. Here's to 84 more years, my friend. But what I was saying was, as a kid, I thought there was like a moment, right? Where you're just like, I'm an adult now and I do adult things. I didn't know if it was like when you turn 30, turn 40. I didn't know when that was going to hit. But when I got older, I realized that adults don't really exist. They're the same person. They're just like kids, but in older meat suits. And I say that jokingly, like a meat suit, because the person inside you stays the same. Just the suit on the outside changes, if that makes sense. So I started to like, as I got older, I was like totally getting along with older people because I realized that. I'm like, dude, this is just a young person in an older body, you know? And I personally think like anyone wants to be treated like that, no matter what your age is. You want to be treated like, um, not in a way that's like you're separate from everyone else, if that makes sense. You want to be treated as like, dude, I'm thriving, you know? I did not think that, but they were very popular. I can imagine, dude. And at the time, were they as popular as they are now, or did that happen over time? Because looking back, I mean, I never was around to see any of it. But when we talk about like the greatest bands of all time, I mean, they're probably usually at number one. Most lists. Most people will not realize their own mortality till about 50. Yep. And I don't know if I personally think a lot and I think very deeply about these things. I don't know what caused that in my life, but I find that although it makes me somewhat sad in the moment, the end of that thought loop in my head ends up being like super positive. I become very grateful for the small things, and when you're grateful for the small things, life is a lot simpler. You don't need the big things to be happy. Although we shoot for those things, and I don't think it's a bad thing to shoot for those things. I think it's totally fine to shoot for the stars and go after the big things, but also along the way, be grateful for what you have. Riding to Sturgis Motorcycle Rally in a few weeks, dude. That's awesome. I've always wanted to go to Sturgis, and I'm relatively close to Daytona, and Daytona Bike Week is one of the bigger ones I believe in the country, but it's not like Sturgis. And let me know, man, how far is the ride for you? And what kind of bike are you on? Because that's gonna be awesome, man. That's gonna be awesome. Definitely wish you a good ride. Wish you the best of luck on that, dude. Imagine the feeling when you get to Sturgis. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna bring a tear to your eye, my friend. And when you get there, along the way, like the progression of seeing other bikers is just gonna exponentially increase. So it's like you're probably gonna be the only biker on the road if you're far enough away. And then as you get closer and closer, you're just gonna like hear the engines and feel the other bikers around, dude. That's a moment. Was overseas in Europe. Lennon was in the pub. Wow. Really? Dang. Just sitting in the pub? And was he like really famous at the time or was this early on in his career or and also where were you at? Was this in England or I think they're from England. I don't really know. I don't know too much about the history. But dude, that is a moment. And it's crazy to look back on probably, right? Cuz in that moment you're probably like, "Oh, John Lennon." Anyways, that's awesome, man. That's really awesome. But to anyone who's in here right now, thank you guys for checking out the stream. I know I tend to talk on in tangents sometimes, but hopefully I'm staying relatively concise and I just thank you guys for being in here and thank you for the likes. Yeah, man, that's awesome. But at the end of the day, I mean, dude, they're humans just like us, you know. Dude just wanted to go to the pub. That's awesome, man. About 400 miles, Harley Road Glide. Been there many times, meeting some friends and riding with a few. Oh, nice, dude. Harley Road Glide. I'm not sure what kind of bike that is. It sounds nice though. I know the Harleys are expensive, man. I'll be honest. I went with my dad to go check some out just to look. They can get pricey. They're really nice bikes. Um My dad and I went to the Indian dealership as well. We really liked those. Um, yeah, man, 400 miles. That's gonna be a nice ride. It's nice to go with friends too, because then you guys can ride it as a pack, and it's just like it feels more solid on the road versus just you around all the cars. Saw Elvis in Vegas in '72. Was that at a was he performing or you just saw him? Dude, I can only imagine. I was in Vegas a little over a year ago. And crazy things go on in Vegas. But I heard, through podcasts or whatever, that even as recent as like the 90s, I heard it was like the Wild West in Vegas. And I don't know if 72 was like similar or if that was early enough to where, some of the city hadn't been built to what it is now. But I heard it was like the Wild West back then, dude. Like literally like people say that New York never sleeps, but like Vegas actually never sleeps. And it's such a wild place because people have these call it unfortunate or call it just human, but people have these desires in their life. Now, mind you, most people are going to go to Vegas, have a good time and not do anything crazy. But there are people that have these desires in their life. And they come to find that Vegas is the spot to do it. And people from all around the world travel to Vegas to have just a crazy time. And yeah, such a strange city. Actually, um, for like over half a decade now, 6 or 7 years, I've been looking into moving into Vegas. And I don't drink. Um, I don't, take intoxicants or anything. And I had been looking into moving there because I personally like to be around like activity throughout the week and like all the time. And the city's always moving. Plus, I really enjoyed the hiking out there, which a lot of people don't know that about Vegas. It's like it has really nice nature around the city within like a good, 20 to 40-minute drive. You can see a lot of cool nature. Red Rocks Canyon, I think it's called. A lot of nice hikes all around the city. On top of that, the living cost was like relatively reasonable, which was surprising to me. Since it's like such a confined space, I thought it was going to be more expensive, but it's like pretty average cost. Plus, there's no state income tax, which was another benefit. Um, the strip was like 10 minutes from the airport. It was amazing to me. Um, on top of that, you're about 3 to 4 hours from Los Angeles, I believe. Within a reasonable distance of the Grand Canyon, other nice scenic places. And if I ever wanted to go anywhere, the flights were very cheap because Vegas is kind of a hub because it's kind of in that central area where flights are coming in and out of, So it had a lot of benefits to it. Plus it's in the sun belt and it's like sunny most of the year. It really had a lot of benefits to it that I had been really considering it for a long time. Still do. Las Vegas Hilton. Okay. So you just saw him in the hotel? Elvis, dude. You've seen the greats. John Lennon and Elvis. Like, does it? I don't think it gets any more A list than that. Does it? I mean, no, that's as famous as it gets. That's amazing, man. I mean, when you think about like the top most famous people you can think of, like they are definitely up there. Thinking like Michael Jackson. Dude, they're up there with John Lennon, Elvis. Who else? Aretha Franklin, maybe. Yeah, that's amazing. What's up, Ame? Good to see you again, man. Good to see you. He was there. Dang, dude. And let me know how was Vegas in '72? Because from what I had seen when I went a year ago was you're right, lower class, and I'm gonna pop off of here soon. Thank you for the reminder. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. What I had seen when I went there a year ago was that it was relatively like tame, at least from the places that I went to. It seemed like things had been, you know, you couldn't just do crazy stuff like out in the open. I mean, I was only there for like a week, but it just seemed like that whole Wild West vibe kind of wasn't necessarily there anymore. And I think it might partially be due to like the technology that we have, like surveillance, the policing there is just like has improved um, for good reason. Obviously, you don't want that kind of crime necessarily, but I have heard people kind of romanticize those Wild West days of Vegas where it's like, dude, it was like every man for himself or something like that. Not every man for himself, but I don't know how to describe it other than just the Wild West. What year was that? As far as from what I've heard, like up until the '90s. Like I heard the '90s in Vegas was just like crazy. When I was there for a week, that was about a year ago. So 2025. 2025. Yeah, it felt kind of like an adult Disney World on the strip. Although I think a lot of people just wrap up Vegas as like the strip and they just kind of don't like it for that reason sometimes, but there was like an entire city around it, like a huge metropolitan area. And yeah, I really liked other parts of the city. Like there was like nice gyms. It was easy to get places, nice scenery, nice hiking. If you're into like running and stuff, like nice areas to do that. It was pretty cool. Went to Metallica and Guns N' Roses with my grandson. Dang, dude. Now, mind you, I will not say that they're as big as the Beatles, but that's almost as big as it gets as well. Metallica and Guns N' Roses. That's amazing. I almost saw Guns N' Roses in Daytona a few years ago at the Daytona International Speedway, and and yeah, I think it got rained out because it was a festival, and that night it got rained out, so I think they just didn't play. They ended up giving us a partial refund on our tickets, which was surprising to me. Way better when Mod ran it. Cheap, safe, and fun. Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean by mod. Mod. Way better when the when the mod ran it. Oh, okay. I got you. Okay, so now it's like corporatized and okay. Okay, I got you. And it's just like yeah, corporatized, I guess is the way to put it. Yeah, and I noticed that although I had never been there, back when you had been there, but I didn't notice that um it was very like it was like Disney World on the strip. That's the best way I can describe it, like an adult Disney World. Mind you, very fun. It was very fun. but it just felt like yeah, it just felt like fake. Not in a bad way necessarily, because like you go into it knowing like they're gonna have like, the buildings are set up for people to walk through and just to spend money and enjoy. So it's not like, I don't know, just like Disney World, literally. Please adopt me, Two Wheels. Corporate is destroying Vegas. Yeah, and I think it's like two major companies now. I think for the most part that kind of own the strip, from what I've done, or from what I've researched. And actually, I really enjoyed Old Vegas when I was there. Something about it just had like that, because some of the buildings were still old, some of the marquees and the signs were still old. So the signage just gave the, you know, classic Vegas vibe. It was just, I kind of enjoyed that. And, you know, everything was cheaper. Like you could play blackjack with like $5, but on the strip, it's like 25, $50 buy in at least. Not that I gamble or anything, but everything was cheaper. The food, yeah, and I stayed off the strip. So I ended up spending like, I stayed with a few people. I spent maybe like $700 for that whole week because I don't really gamble. I don't drink. My brother was in the military, so we got free parking on the strip anywhere we wanted. So we basically just walked around and enjoyed the scenery and walked through the buildings. And another cool thing is like it's set up to where you can just keep walking through each building, like almost nonstop, like just keep going. And they even have the bridges over the road, so it's like, oh, I can go through the Bellagio, straight into whatever, cross the road. I'm at Caesar's Palace. Keep going, like it just didn't end. Still felt wildish around 2010. I can't imagine it in the 80s or 90s. Right, right. Even 2010. I mean, 15 years before I went. So I was 14 when James Dean a car crash. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you, Two Wheel. I don't know who James Dean is. I'm keeping it real with you, Two Wheel. I don't know who James Dean is. Refresh my memory, because I might know if you tell me. I've heard the name. 1955. Dang. 14 in 1955. So you were born in 41. Now tell me this. Do you remember, were you old enough to remember, like, kind of the aftermath of the war in the early 40s? Because I know from what we've learned, at least in school or, the history stuff I've researched, like, that era of people coming back from war really shifted the lifestyle in the U.S. Like if you look at even the way the infrastructure in a lot of these neighborhoods are, where you see like everyone kind of has their own house, like their own family. I think it really shifted during that time, and I don't know if you were old enough to remember that, but I'm interested to I'm interested to hear if you remember that. Also, did you go to Woodstock? I've seen a lot of documentaries on Woodstock, and it seems like a place I would love to go to. Although it did seem like a war zone at the same time. I saw it was like nasty in some ways. Like, but anyways, read about him. You'll know his face when you see it. Yeah, that's what I think. Because I've heard the name. Um, was an actor in the 50s. Okay. I've heard the name. I'm sure I've seen him. Just when I read it, I can't put a face to it right now. So my my dad was born in '54. To give you a kind of perspective, I guess. Not that that matters, but yeah, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. I collect coins, by the way. This is a little side note. I collect coins, and I think I have some coins from 1941. But yeah, you've seen a lot of things, man. Life well lived for sure. And there's so much more to live. That's awesome too, Will. Dude, I could pick your brain for like hours. And if you don't mind telling us, lower class, when you were born, if you don't mind saying. Didn't recognize it at the time, was too young. Okay. Okay. So like at what era, I guess you don't really start to like recognize what's going on in the world until like early adulthood probably. Maybe during like the Vietnam era. I'd love to hear what you think about that. I've heard so many stories about that era, like the shift in the way people thought, and how do I put this? Like I think the like the hippie movement, all that stuff. I don't know if it's just stuff that we learned and it's kind of just stuff that like was drilled into our brain, or if this was actually stuff that you noticed in real life. Because I was told that like it kind of started in like San Francisco area. Not sure if that's true. Um, but also I don't know if this that was just something that was like popularized by media and maybe it didn't actually like affect real like real America, which I think mostly is just like suburban areas, you know, people living in rural areas. Like most of America is just like not in the central parts of these major cities, um, at least from what I think. So I'd be curious to see like, did you notice that shift when it was happening? I was born in '88, but I feel much older. Okay, '88. That makes you 38, right? Yeah, 38. Yeah, I know what you mean, dude. And sometimes you can have like a mind that feels older than what your body is, if that makes sense. Black and white TV though, the chaos on the news. Okay, dang, crazy to think about, dude. It's crazy to think that like you've been through it and I've just seen stuff on a screen about it, you know. Um, and when the TVs went color, was that like an overnight switch? Because I think in the early 2000s at some point, I think TVs went digital, and that was just like I remember that moment when when they were like everything's gonna go digital at this exact time, and then everything went digital. And was that the same when everything went to color on TV? Was it kind of just like today it's black and white, tomorrow everything's gonna be in color, or was it like a slow progression because you had to kind of like maybe go buy a new TV set that could handle the color? Yeah, I don't know, man. So much knowledge too, Will. So much knowledge. But yeah, lower class 38. I mean, I wouldn't say you're old yet. It's more of my body that feels older, specifically my back. How old are you, Mike? Surely you remember the Y2K scare. You know, my friend. I'll put it this way, I do not remember that. I was too young, brother. I was too young. But I have been my dad works with computers, and he's been working with some computers since like the 70s, I believe. Like before they had screens. And yeah, he told me it was like a big thing cuz I think he was working for IBM at the time or something. But he told me it was like a big thing getting the computers ready for that. And I can only imagine, like, I try not to be superstitious, but when the whole world is superstitious and you're like preparing for like this chaotic moment when the clock shifts to 2000, that must have felt kind of scary. I was an only child, never got drafted, and if I would have, didn't have to go to Vietnam or Korea. What do you mean? If you did get drafted, you wouldn't have to go to Vietnam or Korea. So let's see, what how old would you have been? Yeah, you would have been right around like, or were you a little older than the people that they were drafting? Hippies were on the news everywhere. Okay, so they were everywhere. Okay, so that wasn't just like a select few that were just like making all the noise. That was a big thing. Look it up. NBC in living color weeks before the change. Okay, I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna take a screenshot of that so I can look it up later. Interesting, man. Interesting. And literally, I think like the researching and learning about American history since like maybe, well, all the way back to the start, but I think specifically, you know, American history from like 1950 and onwards, from what I was told. Now, honestly, the people that have given me this perspective have only really lived to that point, so I can't speak to people that have lived maybe before, even when you were born, wheel throttle, two wheel throttle. Um, but from what I've been told, that was like the peak era in the U.S. Like that, like maybe around the 70s up to the 80s. Maybe I heard that's what I've heard was just like peak. I think if you're an only child, you can't be sent to active war. I could be. Oh, really? Interesting. I did not know that. And why is that? Is that just to like spare your parents? Because like they would be too devastated losing their only child? Or maybe it could be because your family doesn't have as much people to help out around the household. I don't know. Didn't have a home phone when I was a kid. When did home phones become a thing? I didn't know. Yeah, wait, was that normal? Was it normal to have a home phone back then, or when did that become normal? I'm trying to think. Needed a male to carry your last name. Oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That is a good reason. That is a good reason, I guess. I shut off the main breaker in our house for Y2K at midnight. Everyone freaked out. What a farce. Wait, so I'm curious. Hang on. How how many hours were you sitting with all the power off until you like peeked around the corner and were like, "All right, I'm gonna turn it on." How long did that take? Were you like waiting for the neighbors to turn theirs on? I can only imagine you were probably freaking out when you turned on the breaker too. You're probably like, what happens when I flip this switch? Is it all over? That's funny, man. No locking anything back in the day. Really? Like you mean like your home? Like it was just you felt that safe? And I know people that live in neighborhoods that they feel safe enough to do that still. It's beyond me how they can just leave their front door open and they leave their car door open. But yeah, man. Dude, that's so funny you turned the power off. Ugh. I probably would have done the same thing, to be honest with you. I'd be like, yeah, I'm not risking it. Because maybe tomorrow we all go back to the Stone Age. So I'm going to be ready. 19 cents a gallon. Wow. That is amazing. And what year do you remember that being? 19 cents a gallon. Well, mind you, I mean, the dollar has inflated. So, comparing, I mean, the lowest I remember it being was $1.79, and that'll probably date me. That'll show you guys my age. That's the lowest I remember it being. Now tell me this. There was a big shift in 82, I believe, when Nixon took us off the gold standard. I believe it was 1982. Was that something that was like do you remember that? Was that something that was controversial? Do you remember when the money went from silver to just not silver anymore? And was that something like people were hoarding or they didn't really know at the time? I think during the 80s there was like a boom in the silver price. And it could have been because of that. I haven't done enough research on it, but I'm curious to know if you remember that moment when um, we were taken off the gold standard because that seems to be a huge shift in this country's history, you know. Party lines is what they were called. Neighbors shared a phone line. Interesting. So like it was like a line that was it like an underground line or was it in the like telephone poles and it just ran to everyone's house? I'm confused. I need to look that one up too. Never locked anything. Dang. And did anything ever happen? Was it just that like petty crime wasn't like as big of a thing back then, or or the sense of community in the U.S. was just stronger, or maybe you lived in a nice area. I'm not sure. Gas as a teenager, wow. And I can imagine the cars back then probably didn't get the best gas mileage compared to what we have now. Dang man, what was your first car, two wheel? Or maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't have a first car. Maybe you had a bike. I'm curious. Party lines. Dang, I never heard of that. I do remember. I talked about Ferris Bueller at the beginning of the stream. I remember in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, they had that phone with the super long wire, and that style of phone is like the oldest I remember seeing in my lifetime. So Nixon. Oh, so you remember? Yeah, because when as I started to learn more about our currency and how the money works and stuff, like I started to learn about the history and the gold standard, and I even have I used to work at a on a cash register, and someone paid with a silver certificate, $1 bill from 1935. Um, they didn't know what they were paying with, but literally, I guess it represented how much gold or silver you had in the bank, and you could just go in there and trade it for gold and silver. Do you remember that, two wheel? I'm curious. Did you ever was that a thing back in the day? Like you could just go into a bank and get actual gold and silver, or was that just kind of like no one ever did that? The U.S. quit backing paper currency with gold. Yeah. And was it up until 82 that it said silver certificate on the bill? I'm curious because I know some of the older bills I have say silver certificate, but it's hard to find bills that old. Let me go grab it for you. I'm gonna go pull it out for you, two wheel. Go on a trip down memory lane with you, my friend. Go on a trip down memory lane, my friend. Let's do this. Thank you guys for watching, by the way, and interacting. It's been fun, man. What a great stream. So let's see. There it is. Yep. Now I'm gonna pull it because it's been circulated. It's been circulated a lot, so I don't mind handling it. I'll pull it out for you guys. So the serial numbers used to be blue. Let's see if I can get a perspective on this for you guys. There you go. Series 1935F. Silver certificate. Found this in a cash register about a year and a half ago. Amazing. Let's see, I'll flip it over for you. The back looks the same. But like I said, it's been heavily circulated, so I don't mind handling it. But yeah, that one's pretty cool. And then let's see. Let's see what else I can. My dad always mentions the post office used to be a bank also. Really? I did not know that. Why though? Why was that for like money orders and stuff like that? Maybe that would make sense. Because if everyone's using cash and it's not digital, I don't know. I guess it would make sense if your people are sending money all the time. Above ground phone line that neighbors shared. If you pick up your phone and someone was talking, you hung up. Dude. And people just use that faithfully? There's no way. There's no way people weren't picking up the phone and just like joking with each other. And the privacy. Was it just like, okay, there's no expectation of privacy on this phone line? Imagine picking it up and like talking to your girlfriend or something. Then John down the street picks it up and is just listening. That's amazing. Very cool, Mike. Thanks, man. Thanks. Um, yeah, I'm glad to be able to show this to you guys because I just keep this like in this little cigar box. Most people don't care, but 1962 Chevy Bel Air, $75. That's amazing. I'm trying to think of what that car looks like. $75. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I don't know. He calls it the good old days, and that being one of the reasons. And 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 that's even from just me doing research on it. It's just like our currency was actually it was real. You know. I mean, going back to I'll show you guys some I'll show you guys some older coins, but before 82, the quarters, the dimes were 90% silver, I believe. And that's, that's real money. That's something that can be melted down and have value. I still have about 25 of them. Wow, nice. I'd love to see your collection, two wheel. You worked a whole summer for. Dude, that's amazing. You worked a whole summer for that car. It's just amazing, like, the inflation, I guess. Work a whole summer for $75. Now it's like you go to a restaurant, like regular restaurant meal for two, $75 gone. Dude, I went to Chick-fil-A meal for two, it was like $35. That's amazing. That's amazing to think about. Okay, let me see here. Want to make sure I keep these relatively safe. Okay, let's see. So I have. What year did you buy the 62 two wheels? Sorry, I was mistaken. I was mistaken. It wasn't 82 when the coins were no longer silver. It was 64, I believe. Which I don't know what happened that year. Maybe you guys would know. I don't know what happened that year to where they were like, we're no longer going to use silver. I think potentially it could have been needed for other uses, maybe for war, in which they stopped using silver. I don't know. I don't know. I know that was the reason that they used it in the nickel back in the early 40s because they needed nickel for war parts. So they started putting silver in the nickels, I believe. But I will show you guys the last year of silver quarters. And you can see from the side, there's no copper in there. And when you ping it, you can feel the ping is different. So there's that. Now, about a few months ago, I came across a roll of dimes within the register, and they were like, there was like 10 to 12 silver dimes. And that was amazing. That must have been a roll that had been sitting there for a long time. Now this one might take you back, Two Wheel. This one was from 1 year after you were born. The Mercury dime. Now a lot of these have been heavily circulated, but I don't know at what point they went to Jefferson, I believe. It's Jefferson. I don't know at what year they changed it. But as you can see, these all came from that same roll. Got multiple 42. This one is, sorry guys, I should have clipped my nails. I didn't expect to be doing this, but 38. Got some other silver dimes, 64. That's an older one, like 1919 or something. There you go, brother. There you go, Two Wheel. 1941, my friend. 1941. Nice. I'm glad we came across one from your year. So yeah, no longer silver in the dimes, but it's cool to be able to look at them. If you guys are interested, I will show you a couple more cool coins that I got. Probably more listening by Uncle Sam these days. My neighbor when I was a kid. Oh. Yeah. Did you ever mess with them though? Did you ever pick up the phone and like mess with your neighbors? 1969, 7 years old, and was not the greatest shape. Still amazing. I'm curious, what is $75 now like in value? I can't even guess. I mean, I can guess, but I would just be spitballing. Many of my high school buddies never came back from the war. Wow, man. I'm sorry to hear that, but dang. And some that were affected by Agent Orange. Wow. And was that a depressing time in the country? And I know I'm kind of just asking like cuz I'm so far removed from it. I'm kind of just asking like it's a regular question, but I'm sure it's a very heavy topic for you. So I am sorry to hear that. Although it's just can't help but ask questions cuz it's such a fascinating such a fascinating time. Just read a little about the postal system and banking. Pretty interesting. Okay. So they went hand in hand. Interesting. Some were affected by age. I probably held some of those coins, lol. Yeah. That's very yeah. Very could be a possibility that you held some of these coins. That's why I asked the year he paid the 75 as I was interested in what it would be today, approximately $685. Dang, even then. I don't know if you can find a car that runs for $685. Maybe you can. I don't know. That makes sense that it wasn't in the best shape, though. Now I got this Another cool one I can show you guys, a little 3-cent piece. And this is before all of our eras. This is way before all of us. At 10 years old, you had a dime, you were the shit. Dude, cause let's see, you're 10 and 51, 1951. So a dime, I can't leave the stream. I would do the math, but I'm wondering what a dime would be worth nowadays. That's awesome, man. So here is I don't know if you guys are still interested, but I'm gonna show you anyways. Back in the day, they used to make a 3-cent piece. So this one's from 1873. Great condition too. Great condition. This was gifted to me by someone that came into the store actually. A lot of these were just gifted to me. But yeah, a lot of people don't know that the US used to make a 3-cent piece because I guess their money was valuable enough to where 3 cents it was a reasonable denomination, you know? Is that the word? Denomination? Um Let me see here. I got this also way before our time. 1906 nickel. Used to have a V on the back for 5 cents. Very cool. Also decent condition. Not very valuable, but still cool to have. Let's see. Okay, so this one you were 11 years old, two wheel, when this coin was struck. This is a unique one. It's a what is this one? Is this a $50? You might need to tell me. Does it even say it on there? I don't even know. Oh, $50. Okay. This is a $50 coin from 1952. Booker T. Washington. $50. Great condition too. I mean, for being circulated. Probably not the most valuable coin, but I guess you must have been 11 years old at this time. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know who Booker T. Washington is. It was difficult, disturbing, and confusing times for sure. Yeah, I can only imagine, dude. I can only imagine. And that's probably what it led to is just confusion, you know? It's like what is happening? Like I don't even know if I'd be able to process that in real time, you know? I feel like that would just hit me every once in a while, like throughout life. Like 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, like dude, that actually happened, you know? Life is a trip, man. Stamps were used as actual currencies from what I'm reading. Oh, okay. Interesting. I guess it makes sense because when you go to the post office now, you still gotta, pay per stamp. Huh, wow. That's pretty cool. And I wonder if they're still considered a currency. I'm not sure. Dude, that is really cool. I actually really like stamps too. Never got into the stamp collecting, but yeah. I'm gonna show you guys a weird one, okay? No, I won't just bore you guys with my coin collection. But if you guys want to see one more, I got you. Now, unfortunately, I don't think I have anything from 88 lower class because you know what happened. At some point, they they stopped putting real metals into these coins. So 88 was recent enough to where it's like, okay, I don't necessarily have anything in my collection from there, but I'm gonna take I'm gonna take you guys through a couple more of these. What I find cool, someone gave me these. So the U.S. collaborated. Maybe you know about this more than I do. Two wheel. I don't know anything about the history between the U.S. and the Philippines, but in the 40s, at least from what these coins say on the date, they had like these collaboration coins. It was like the U.S. and the Philippines in one coin. So I will show you one of those right now. I don't know what if these had to do with the war or what these have to do. This one's from 1944, so you must have been 3 years old. Two wheel. 1944. On the front, you can see it says United States of America, and then on the back, 5 centavos, Filipinas. Very interesting. When someone gave me these, I didn't even know that that existed. Um, and I believe they have like a Spanish influence in the Philippines because they were I might be wrong, but I guess conquistadors landed there, many years ago, and they have a big Spanish influence. Okay, I'll give you guys one more. I'm not gonna bore you any more than that. I wish I would have bought all the 426 Hemi cars and 454 Chevys in 69 and 70 from our local dealership. Today they're a fortune. Didn't know that though. Yeah. But I mean, think about how long you would have had to hold those cars. And cars aren't something that you can just like this coin collection, I can just put it in a cigar box. It's not even a valuable coin collection, to be honest. But it's just things that I like. But so, don't get any ideas, anyone out there. It's maybe like $100. So maybe 200. But yeah, imagine holding cars for that long. Like every time you gotta move, you gotta store them. Or if you keep them in storage, I mean, imagine like the cost of storing those over so many years, the upkeep, that would be very hard to hold for that long. But yeah, dude, imagine the collection. But hindsight's always 2020. I wonder what cars of today will be those sought after models in 50 years. Yeah, I think maybe like you see like the classic style cars, maybe like certain years of the Corvette, I believe will probably stand the test of time. Um Maybe like a Dodge Challenger because I think they stopped making them in that certain style. Um Things like that. Maybe like a specific um what's the Ford did the Shelby GT500. That one was beautiful car. I think they made a more recent version of that. I think those kind of cars will probably stand the test of time. I won't tell you guys the story about me and Shelby GT500. I will not. It will disappoint you guys. Booker, author and educator, Tuskegee University. Okay, okay. Because someone gave me that coin, and I just know his name from the coin. Never did any research on it, so that's good to know. Don't know much about coins. Sorry. Okay, I'll show you one more coin. I'm not gonna bore you guys then, and I will tell you the GT500 story. It's very sad. It's very sad. I still get sad about it. But so this one also was United States and Philippines collaboration from 1909. One of my favorite coins. It's got the beautiful eagle with the on the back, and then on the front, 1 peso Filipinas. And like I said, I think they have a big Spanish influence in the Philippines. So that's why they go by the peso. I don't know if they still do that nowadays or not, but yeah, man, I'm glad I could go through that with some people because I never bust these out. So the GT500 story, dude. I worked as a valet when I was maybe like I must have been 16 or 17. I like just got my license. I worked as a valet. And a lot of times GT350 289 solid 4 speed. Okay, yeah. I think this one was a 5 or 6 speed, the GT500 that I drove. It was stick shift. Um so I was a valet, right? And you guys probably already know where this is leading. And we used to do private parties, and the mayor of the city I was living in was having like a private party for like, I don't know, I guess he was campaigning or something. Anyways, someone brought a brand new cherry red GT500. I'm talking it was 2 days old, and he literally said that to us too. No, I didn't roll it, thank God. No, it wasn't that bad. It's not as bad as that. So it's a stick shift, right? And as soon as I saw it, I called it because there was probably 4 guys at the party running the cars, and I said, "Yeah, that one's me." But because I knew how to drive stick too, and a lot of people don't know how to drive stick nowadays. But I get in this car and I'm driving it, right, and it's so big. Like it's not like a normal car. Like the front hood is like up here, and the windshield is like short, and it just feels really big and long, you know. So I'm driving it. I go to park it, and in this neighborhood, because I was in Michigan at the time. I don't know if any of you guys live in the north, but people put these big rocks like near their driveway to kind of like stick through the snow so they can kind of see where stuff is at. So I pull like parallel park on the side of this road right behind this rock. And normally like cuz I had a Miata at the time, it was stick shift. But I could just turn this car off in first gear or whatever, like not it wouldn't do anything, you know? But I guess because the GT500 had so much power, dude, oh man, I didn't put it in neutral. I left it in first and just let go of the clutch, and the car jumped forward into this rock and just completely busted up the whole front bumper. Oh man, I don't even like telling this story. I don't even know why I'm telling it, but it's long ago at this point. But it jumped forward into this rock. And mind you, I'm thinking, okay, I get out of the car. I'm like, okay, maybe it's just like a little scratch. Let me just write the ticket, the valet ticket, and be on my way. And this guy was walking his dog down the street and was just looking at me like, I remember him specifically side eyeing me. So I end up going back to the main party area, and yeah, there was like a hole in the bumper, and the guy comes out and basically tells us that he said this car is literally two days old. Like I got it 2 days before this party, and this is like it hasn't even seen the rain. He kept saying that, and it was depressing because he wasn't even like mad like I would have expected. Um, Actually, my manager ended up telling him because we had concluded that we didn't want him to single me out, as selfish as that sounds. So my manager thought it'd be a good idea to just say one of our drivers did this so he couldn't just directly come at me, which I also feel bad about that. I kind of wish I just told him directly myself and just kind of did that. But yeah, he kept saying it hasn't seen the rain yet. Like it hasn't even seen the rain. And he had this it wasn't even mad. It was just like when you just accept something just happened and you're just sad about it. I was sad about it. I like cars. I really like I should have known don't leave it in first gear. But yeah. And on the ticket, on a valet ticket, this is why I don't valet. It says it'll have a statement that says we're not liable for any damage. Oh man. And the company that I worked for ended up paying for it because we all paid in our checks towards the insurance in case anything happened. But yeah, that's not one of my proudest moments. So yeah, they ended up paying for it. He got it fixed at the dealership too, so it was like factory, but I mean, I can only imagine how much value he lost on the car. So I still feel bad about that, but things happen. I was not fired. You know what happened was there was a certain amount of money that they took out of our checks every week for the insurance, and they just started taking more money out of my check. And I was telling them, I think there's a mistake here. Like, because mind you, I mean, I was making bare like pennies at the time. So it's like if you're taking more money, I mean, I ended up just leaving for that reason because I was like, okay, I think they're just gonna keep taking more money out of my paychecks until they pay off this damage that they had to pay for. Um, yeah, and I guess the owner was like a lawyer too, so I was like, okay, I'm just a 16-year-old kid. There's like, I'm just gonna leave. There was no fighting that. Don't be too hard on yourself. You were just a kid. Yeah, I appreciate that. But it's the funny thing is, I had driven stick for what a year or two until that point, and yeah, now I know. As a car guy too, that hurts a little. Right, exactly. And that's why it hurts me because it's like I love that car. Yeah, the only time I've ever driven a GT500. But those are fun days, you know. Those are fun days. I can't believe you got me to say that story out loud. But you know what my dream car is? One of my dream cars is I think from what I remember, 1969 Shelby GT500, black with the white stripes. That is a beautiful car. I don't care who you are. Any person I show that car loves it. I mean, I believe they're a few hundred grand at least, maybe up to $1 million at this point for like one that's in good condition or relatively good condition, like restored. Don't quote me on that. I haven't checked prices in a long time, but beautiful car. But yeah, this is a good conversation with you guys, man. I'm glad you guys came in here and yeah, literally as soon as you called it lower class, it's past bedtime. Technically Wednesday here on the West Coast. Yeah, you're telling me I'm on the East Coast. So, but the conversation was too good. I'm glad I got to share this with you guys. Um, and got to pick your guys' brains on American history, man. It was a good time. Thank you guys for coming in here, man. Definitely had a good time interacting. Appreciate you guys. Two wheel, you're the man. Good luck on your trip to Sturgis, man. That's gonna be awesome. And lower class, have a good night. I'll probably go live tomorrow, maybe. I don't know, but I'll go live soon. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. Thanks for showing your coins. Take care, brother. Appreciate that. Take care, brother. And I'm gonna pop off of here too. Um, yeah. Thank you guys again. Thank you for all the likes for anyone that liked the video or whatever. But it was a good time. It was a good time. I really like this stream. But anyways, you guys have a good night. I'll see you on the next stream. Peace.